Good morning and assalamualaikum. My name is Nurul Kalisha and this is my recorded response to the workplace stimulus. The stimulus that I have selected for my recorded response is from the well-known psychological thriller and dark comedy American Psycho. The scene that I have chosen from the movie is the business card scene. To give a very brief recap of the movie, the story follows 80s business yuppie Patrick Bateman, who leads a double life. By day, he is a successful and high-ranking employee in a business that his father owns, and by night, he is a bloodthirsty serial killer who will stop at nothing to quench his bloodlust. His grasp on reality and what is actually in his mind begins to unravel as the movie progresses. The movie aims to address upper-class desensitization, the loss of individuality because of capitalism, and society's complicity in it all. The two main conflicts I'd like to address from the scene I've chose is how shallow values cultivate a toxic and rivalistic work culture in the workplace, and also recognition in the corporate hierarchy. First of all, in the business card scene, the main conflict is presented when Patrick and his colleagues compare business cards. The scene opens with Patrick presenting his card, hoping to be the envy of the room. His colleagues began to do the same, all of them presenting their respective cards. They subtly admire the font, texture, and the layout of the cards, which becomes a metaphor for their shallow value systems, especially since none of them actually point out some errors that are on all of their cards. For instance, the word acquisition is spelled wrong on all of their cards, missing C in the spelling. But they are all too focused on the smaller and inconsequential details instead, and that's when tensions start to arise. We see how shallow all of the men in the room really are when Bateman has a near mental breakdown because one of his colleagues, Paul Allen's card, is shown with a watermark. The differences presented in each card is nearly indistinguishable, but among the high-class men, every small detail is a huge deal. Something as trivial and almost unnoticeable differences in the cards are a testament to the shallow and surface-level mindsets in their workplace. While the movie expresses the general idea that Bateman and his peers live lives of faux accomplishment and meaningless trophies, this specific scene encapsulates this point almost perfectly, if you ask me. The scene aims to dramatize how professional identity and social status can become sources of deep internal conflict and rivalry in a workplace setting. We see how all of the men secretly despise one another, only driven to one-up or outdo each other to the point of mental breakdowns. Another issue that I'd like to talk about is that while all of these are high-ranking people in their company, none of them actually work to accomplish real goals. Throughout the movie, they are only seen discussing fancy restaurant reservations, commenting on expensive and branded clothes, using business jargon and lingo to build a specific image that they are important and high-end members of society in the overall hierarchy, while never actually being shown working. Their goals are all self-absorbed and focuses only on outdoing one another, which will fuel them with a sense of superiority and ego. Their success is measured in surface-level indicators like the quality of one's suit, the exclusivity of a restaurant reservation, or the prestige of one's office location, instead of any real work or office-related achievements. This scene reflects a much deeper conflict about power and recognition in the corporate hierarchy. The business card to the men, it's not just a contact tool, it's a symbol of professional worth between them. So when Bateman sees others receive admiration or envy for their cards, he feels his own position within the social and workplace hierarchy is threatened. This moment It reflects a deep-rooted crisis. Bateman's sense of self is so entwined with his professional image that being outshined even slightly feels like personal annihilation. His rage and insecurity are a brutal symbol of how corporate culture has reduced human identity and individuality to surface aesthetics. The business card scene highlights a toxic workplace environment where colleagues are constantly competing over trivial markers of status and position instead of collaborating or forming meaningful connections. There's no real relationship between the workers. There's only rivalry and superficial judgment between them. The film's settings serves to blur the lines of identity. Colleagues are constantly confusing each other's names and faces. This would suggest a world where individuality is lost behind expensive suits and generic corporate roles. Bateman himself is often mistaken for other people, but he rarely corrects them. This confusion serves as a symptom of a world where image has entirely replaced substance. It's a world where employees are interchangeable and easily replaced, and their professional roles are so vacuous and vague that it becomes difficult to know what anyone is actually doing, which only feeds into a toxic work culture. It's a culture where work is not only cast aside, but it's superficial, and fake relationships are the basis built between employees. Their roles in the company only serve as a means to outdo each other. My question here is, when does that become too much? And how does it end? To conclude my recorded response, in this movie's effort to satirize the typical and toxic 80s workplace setting, I feel that it delves into deeper rooted issues of superficiality and how vanity and aesthetics can and will begin to outweigh actual healthy or productive work culture. The office isn't just where Bateman works. It's where his superficial and emotionless nature is not only cultivated, but grows to a dangerous degree. In this context, the workplace is less of a work setting, but it's a battleground of shallow facades and fragile male ego. To conclude, the business card scene shows a subtle but deeply damaging workplace conflict. It's a conflict of rivalries that are built on shallow status markers, the pursuit of image that only leads to identity crises, broken relationships, and in Patrick Bateman's case, it leads to a violent obsession. That is all from me for my recorded response. Thank you for listening and thank you for your time.